Hello there. I am Louis Wieland, and for the last 30 years or so, I've published the Community Profiles magazines. Interviewed Jeremy and his new chief economist, who, from what I can see and watching YouTube, is extremely talented, knowledgeable, and brings a lot to the table. Congratulations, Jeremy. Another achievement, another recognition for the outstanding work that you are doing here in Atlanta and throughout many parts of the country now to help agents with their work. So thank you very much for your service. So, Jeremy, do you want to introduce Leslie? I know that you're anxious to present her to people.
Again, thank you so much for having me back on the show to kick off 2025. I appreciate the accolades for the award. It was really a team effort from the FMLS Board of Directors, their leadership, and all of the great management and staff we have at FMLS. So it's really kudos to them in receiving that award. But I'm very excited today to bring on FMLS's new chief economist, Leslie Appleton Young. I've actually known her for quite a while.
Economy so far, and what's it looking like going forward?
You know, we're in a bit of a holding pattern. It's obviously January. It's still in the first month of the year. And to say there's a lot of uncertainty, I mean, economists always say that, but we have a new administration. The inauguration was yesterday. And so we'll be waiting to see what the actual policies of the new administration look like. But barring all of that, you know, the general forecast for 2025 still seems fairly reasonable. And essentially what we were looking at was a slower growing economy, inflation under control, the Fed continuing at a measured pace to cut rates, and rates declining, maybe not in a straight line, but declining throughout the year and maybe ending the year, maybe even a little bit below 6%. And I think what's changed is the shock of currently being slightly above 7%. And the question that's being raised now is, how does a 7% mortgage rate change the trajectory of the market that we had, let's say, a month or 2 months ago when all the prognostications were going on? So if go back a little further than that, in September, it looked like inflation was really under control. The labor market was getting a little bit uneven. And so the Fed engaged in its first cut in over 2 years, right? We'd had inflation, and the Fed had raised rates. So this big 50 basis point cut in September, raised all kinds of expectations that we'd be in a lower rate environment. And in fact, by the end of September, we were down around 6%. Well, unfortunately, things look a little bit different right now, because inflation is clearly much better, but it's not going gently out. In fact, the data that just came out for December showed actually a slight uptick, not bad news, but not what we're looking for, right? So at 2.8% annual rate, we're still quite above the 2% target that the Fed had been expecting. So the other news that we got was a very strong labor market report in the beginning of January for December, and that meant the economy's, going strong. Maybe we don't need lower rates to keep the economy on that track. So just a few questions now about just how long we're going to be at a somewhat elevated rate environment. So I'm not calling, we're not getting there, but I am saying that I think that the idea that the Fed will be cutting anytime soon is not in the cards. It may not even be till fall that they'll feel comfortable doing that. So the housing market is going to be getting used to a higher rate environment for the first couple of months, as far as I can see.
Well, thank you. That's very interesting, and appreciate having a feel for where we're going. What does that mean for the Atlanta specifically, and how would you profile or characterize the real estate market here in Georgia?
Well, the real estate market in Georgia has been outperforming the nation for the last couple of years, just like the entire South has, because when we went into the lockdown during the pandemic, there were a lot of moving parts, right? People were working remotely, they were finding new places to live, and this crisis in housing affordability that meant that people from the coast, high priced coastal areas, New York, for example, California, were able to look at other options, and that's exactly what they did. And so what we've seen more recently is that trend has been reversing itself a little bit in some of the southern states, particularly in Texas and Florida. Those regional markets are not doing as well because people kind of have laid off that big migration to those states that they had. Georgia's been in really a sweet spot because although the migration is a little bit slower, it's still coming. People are still attracted to the area for all of the reasons that you know. And of course, when people ask me what I love best about living in Atlanta, the first thing I say is water pressure. And for anyone that's lived in Southern California, Jeremy's laughing, you know what I mean. And the second thing I will talk about is the tree canopy. I don't think a day goes by that coming from the parched Southern California, I don't look at that. But looking more concretely at hardcore economic issues, the job creation in this area has really been phenomenal. And as I said, kind of outpaced the nation. And that's meant that the housing market here has really been in a higher gear than you've seen in other parts of the country because of the desirability and the attraction of people moving here. That doesn't mean things haven't slowed down. They certainly have. And when you have rates that were 3% and are now 6 and 7%, it takes a while for people to get their head around that new reality, right? And so for sellers, you have a lot of people locked into a low rate mortgage. So they either bought 3-4 years ago or they refinanced. And so they are looking at, oh, gee, I'd love to move. I'd like a new area. I need a different kind of house. But then they look at leaving this very attractive mortgage and they're locked in and they don't do it, So that's really been one of the challenges. So I would say overall, we're seeing a continuation of the slower market conditions. Excuse me, in 2024 for the country as a whole, we had the lowest number of sales that we've had in 30 years, right? So that's very significant. But the South in general and Georgia in particular have been outperforming the nation for those kind of hardcore economic reasons that I just mentioned.
Leslie, what are some of the key takeaways that you might that have for agents and brokers and buyers and sellers of real estate who are tuning into the broadcast today?
Well, I think the first thing for buyers is to realize that if they're waiting for 5% rates in 2025, it is very unlikely to happen. And if it gets down to 6, that may also be a much lower probability than it was. So the rate environment is what it is. And so being able to work around that in terms of location, the type of home, looking at condominiums, asking for a mortgage rate buy down when you're negotiating with a seller, all of those things kind of play into it. And I think that's really, really important. For sellers, inventory has been going up. So there's two stories here. One, inventory has been rising through the second half of 2024. Inventory is still below where it was pre-pandemic. So it's up, but compared to what we would have considered a normal market, you still have somewhat tight inventory. However, we kind of people remember what just happened. So there is more inventory. So there's more competition among sellers for buyers. So pricing competitively right out of the gate is always critical. It's especially critical right now. Properties are staying on the market longer. So if you want to sell and you need to sell, being realistic about it. And, I think when you look at homeowners who have had a significant amount of equity gains, maybe they've been in their home 10, 20, 30 years, maybe stepping back from what they could have gotten 3 or 4 years ago and say, hey, I can give up a little here in order to make my life better. I think that's really an important consideration for today's market.
Thank you. That's very powerful. Any other final thoughts you might have for our viewers?
Yeah, I'd like to say that, if there's any analyst or economist that is standing in front of you telling you they know what's going to happen, they don't. Nobody does. We're always in uncharted territory, and this is really uncharted territory. And again, you have the the new administration. You have the possibility, very real possibility of tariffs, of dwindling of the labor supply as undocumented individuals are gathered up, and so on. And so these are all kind of things that are inflationary, that could feed into higher prices. On the other hand, there's a lot of negotiation going on between the U.S. and its trading partners. So nobody knows how this is going to play out. Here's what we do know: there is a tremendous amount of pent-up demand in this market on the part of buyers who have been on the sidelines for the last 2 years, waiting for rates to get more favorable, right? And also on the part of sellers, right, waiting for that moment, where they're ready to let go of this low rate mortgage. And, in terms of this lock-in effect, as time goes by, the share of homeowners who are locked in is gradually declining. So that will correct itself over time. So I think, there needs to be a reset in terms of expectations. I'm sure, like many of the people listening to this, you remember when mortgage rates were 15%, 12%, 10%. The market has dealt with a very different rate environment than we've gotten used to over the last couple of years. So nobody knows. And at some point, people make a change. They just are tired of waiting. They want to get on with their lives. And I think it behooves everybody to have all the information they can to make that work when that time comes.
Well, we definitely thank you very much, Leslie, and we all look forward to learning from you and hearing from you periodically about the state of the market and benefiting in our businesses from your association with us. So thank you very much, and welcome to the East Coast.
It's my pleasure. I'm so delighted to be here. I can't thank FMLS enough for having me. So it's been mutual, very much so.
And so let's pivot over to talking with Jeremy Crawford, CEO, about what's happening lately at FMLS, and you're continually expanding the exposure for brokers and agents into other markets and other MLSs and members, and I appreciate that myself. I've definitely benefited from that. Can you tell us some of the latest and greatest plans for 2025, Jeremy?
Absolutely. Well, in addition to our stellar addition of Leslie to our team, and for those listeners out there, firstmls.com/intel is the landing page we've created so you can see her bi-weekly updates of what's going on in the economics world of nationally, local, state, et cetera. So I wanted to point that URL out. But, our goal is to continue increasing the value proposition of the multiple listing service for our brokers and agents, provide as much transparency for the consumers that we can, for their buyers and sellers, and really expand upon how their listings are being exposed in other market areas. And I'm happy to report, as we're entering into 2025, if you put your listing into FMLS, it's actually exposed to over 500,000 brokers and agents in their MLSs across the nation, not just our 57,000 we have here locally, Lou, but all the way out to the West Coast. So it benefits people like Leslie who are in the LA area and they look at California Regional MLS and they can actually, as an agent, help guide Leslie, the buyer, moving to the Atlanta area. So we're providing the listings in FMLS out to California Regional MLS as an example of the value proposition that we provide that other MLSs in the state of Georgia do not. At the end of 2024, we added Seattle, Washington into that network with Northwest MLS. We added Williamsburg, Virginia, more of a vacation market area right there near the coast in Virginia. We added the Western Arizona Regional Data Exchange called Wardex in Northwestern Arizona. And we started off this year with facilitating, helping our MLS partners share data. And in January of this month, we just launched a multiple data share that FMLS facilitated so that Birmingham, which is Greater Alabama MLS, Gulf Coast MLS in Mobile, Alabama, and East Alabama MLS, which is in Phoenix City, all now have exposure to each other's listings within FMLS and within their own native MLS systems. And we're very excited about that. The brokers in their marketplaces are extremely excited. And we're kicking off 2025 with implementing the same referral network with Dallas, Texas, with North Texas Real Estate Information Systems. They're right there in Dallas, Texas, with over 50,000 brokers and agents, as well as Bridge MLS, which covers Northern California and Oakley and Berkeley, California. And we're working on Cleveland, Ohio. And that's just the first half of this year. And we'll have more later in this year, Lou, as we just really work to expand the referral network for our brokers and agents to have listing exposure with other professionals and have lead opportunities that's coming into our local market professionals from those other MLSs that have their clients that are moving out of those areas and moving to Greater Atlanta for all the benefits and more that Leslie provided to us while she's here, Lou.
That's extremely exciting, Jeremy, and congratulations on all that hard work and success. So in addition to the expanding exposure, geographic market exposure, FMLS I see is constantly adding services and products for the benefit of FMLS members. Would you like to talk a little bit about that and bring us up to date?
Absolutely. If anyone saw the latest MLS news yesterday, New Mexico MLS has put in a requirement that their agents are required now to put in a floor plan for every listing added in New Mexico MLS. And while we didn't put that requirement in, we enabled software for our agents to do that at no cost. We just launched in December a platform called Kubicasa. The agent can take their cell phone, walk around the listing that they have, and it will automatically create a 2D floor plan for them, free of charge as an FMLS member benefit. They can enhance that if they like and create 3D floor plans, virtual staging opportunities, coloring, etc. But we're providing as a member benefit Kubicasa now so they can have floor plans created for free at no charge with the platform, just with their cell phone. We're very excited about it. We didn't even know the news was coming yesterday about the MLS mandates in other markets to require a floor plan. The research out there says 83% of consumers want to see a floor plan before they see the house online with all those great photos the agents take. And so we're helping enable and empower them to do that as a member benefit. On top of that, we want to help our listing agents be more efficient. So on February 4th, we're offering a launch of a new member benefit platform, an artificial intelligence-based listing management system called OcuSell List by OcuSell. OcuSell is the latest listing management software available in the industry. It allows brokers and agents to manage their listings, and it's more efficient using artificial intelligence and using some platforms we provide like Resby.ai to help analyze photos, to be able to fill out those listing forms for them, and really fast-paced them selling the home as opposed to doing the mundane listing input work into the MLS. And they also have a multiple MLS listing management engine, which we're very excited about. So the agents that are members of multiple MLSs in Georgia and in Alabama will be able to use that platform if they're members in multiple locations to edit those listings, put those listings into FMLS, put those listings into other MLSs, and then through the data share network, those listings are automatically exposed. OcuSell even has some add-on features for brokers that our brokers in our local market, like Metro brokers, have found to be very, very valuable. We'll have training available for that with our Stellar FMLS Training Institute that provides 33 hours of CE accredited training on all of our platforms, which OcuSell will be coming soon to that network of training as well. We're very excited about it, Lou.
You sounds like you've been fairly busy. I don't know. I guess you don't sleep too much, but you and Elon Musk, I don't know. The two of you guys ought to get together. As a commercial agent, I'm interested in what's going on in the commercial space. Can you bring us up to date on that?
Absolutely. We never forget about our commercial agents. That data share network doesn't just expose residential listings, it exposes the commercial listings to all those destinations as well. The Cuba Casa platform for floor plans is available to our commercial brokers for lease and commercial sale properties. OcuSell will be in their hands as well to manage their listings. But on top of that, one of the latest and greatest commercial platforms out there is called Crexi. Crexi, which has been used by many of our commercial brokers and agents directly, would allow a broker and agent to add their listings directly into the Crexi platform, pay for Crexi services, and now FMLS is supercharging the listings that are in FMLS that are commercial lease or commercial for sale properties for brokers and agents like yourself, Lou. Put those commercial listings directly into FMLS. They will automatically now go into the Crexi platform at no charge. You will not have to enter those in separately. You will not have to pay the Crexi listing fees to put those in. It's now an FMLS member benefit. And a lot of people are paying the $400 a month Crexi Pro platform, which provides comp data to those commercial brokers and agents, provides different listing advertising options. FMLS is now the only MLS in the state of Georgia that has the ability to provide those brokers and agents that are today paying $400 or want to pay $400 are now going to get a 35% discount on the Crexi Pro platform and reduce their expenses down to $260 a month for Crexi Pro. This is something we just launched for our commercial brokers and agents, so they get the experience of all the data shares and exposure that our residential brokers and agents have for their listings. They get the same floor plan software options with Cuba Casa, and now they get another commercial platform to advertise their listings, and it's automatically fed there once it's in FMLS. So we're very excited to keep elevating what we do for you, Lou, as a commercial agent with KW Commercial, as well as all of our other commercial brokers and agents.
$140 is not chicken feed. $140 a month is nice.
Yeah, it's a big discount for $140 off a month, Lou. Absolutely, very excited about that discount we've worked out with our partnership with Crexi.
Yeah, we appreciate that very much. I know that it's expensive, $140, and our expenses of gasoline, et cetera, and doing our work are rising. So nice to see somebody coming in with a way to save a little money. So thank you, Jeremy and Leslie.